Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Ryan with Riot Tech, and today we have a review of the PureTrak P-51 Mustang Samurai Edition. There has been some questions in terms of the performance of the pad, as well as the base and how the base feels in terms of consistency. So all things that I wanted to talk about today, so let's get into it. All right, so getting into the Samurai pad, it does come in at 490 by 420. And it's 3.5 millimeters thick. The stitching is good. It's not entirely under the surface like you would see from other brands and other pads that have come out lately, but at least in terms of the quality of the stitching, it's still very good, very tight, and a really good quality stitch. For the base of the pad, ultimately those are the two things I wanted to focus on, is the base and the surface. Obviously, I would typically focus on those two things more, but specifically when it comes to this pad, when there was issues with the previous one and they wanted to improve what they already did with the original, I wanted to focus on the base and, again, the surface a little bit more. So specifically for the base, PureTrak is using an improved version of the alpha cell base that they used from the original P-51 Mustang, and they had two focuses within what they were trying to update. They wanted to make it more consistent and less sticky than the original base. I don't know if you've used other alpha cell base pads before. The two that would come to mind would either be the P-51 or the Bruce Lee that's behind me. Both of those pads, whenever it comes to alpha cell, I mean, I'll include the Kurosan Ninja as well. Typically, those pads are very, very sticky. And at least the stickiest that I can use as a reference is going to be the Pulsar ES1 Bruce Lee Edition. If you have a very sticky pad, essentially for you to be able to get it off of your desk, you have to channel the dark side of the force to either force pull it off of your desk, or, I mean, essentially become Darth Vader, just to be able to use as much force as possible, literally, to get it off of your desk. It's insane. Let's make a quick test, right? So it's fully on my desk. I'm going to make sure that it's sticky across the board. Is it going to be super crazy? No. At least in terms of it being less sticky, it is definitely not nearly as sticky as the original alpha cell base, as well as other alpha cell base pads I've tried before. This is definitely the least sticky, so they got that down. The second piece was making it more consistent. And if you've had pads like this before, because the pads are so thin, and the pads, at least the base of the pad, is so dense, it's not like a mid pad or a soft pad, right? So you use like a Saturn Pro Soft. You can push into the pad and you feel that plushiness from the pad itself. Even with the mid, you can feel just a little bit, but not a whole lot. When it comes to this, I mean, you feel maybe like a tiny bit if you push in with a lot of force. I mean, you could feel a little bit, but I mean, this is a much denser base. So, I mean, this is very dense. And again, it's not going to have a whole lot of debounce when you're trying to push into the pad. Like, you're just not going to have that feel. Ultimately, with using this pad for about a week or two, I haven't had any inconsistency issues using the pad. Personally, I think the best alpha cell implementation so far across the board has to be the Kurosan Ninja. But at least in terms of the update and the improvement that they made from the original base, this is a very good improvement from what they initially had. The surface for the Samurai is using PureTrak's classic CO1 material. And for those that are either familiar or not familiar with PureTrak, it's essentially the original blend of polyester that they used, and it's supposed to have a smooth feeling that leans closer towards a speed pad. I would definitely agree, at least in terms of what they provided. It's the same fabric with a little bit more speed. So it's supposed to be a medium to fast pad and doesn't have a coating on the top of the surface. And at least in terms of using the pad itself, the speed's fairly good. And at least in terms of control, you definitely do have a decent amount of stopping power. At least in terms of micro adjusting on the pad, I would personally prefer a little bit more control. I mean, if you think of what I've talked about before in terms of pads that I've used over time, I typically use hybrid pads, but a step down, like a little bit more control focused. This is the opposite. This is a hybrid pad, again, a little bit more focused on the speed side. So I think if they had something like this, but did the opposite, I think it would be really, really good. Nothing against this pad because, again, the graphic looks great. The performance still feels really good. I would, again, prefer just a little bit more control from the pad, especially when it comes to micro adjusting. But at least, again, I mean, in terms of the performance of the pad, it is very good. It does have a very smooth glide. At least in terms of friction, you get a little bit more friction on the y-axis than you do the x-axis. So, I mean, as you're playing, you have a little bit more friction as you move up and down as opposed to left to right. All right, so the PureTrak Samurai P-51 pad. As a pad, it is very good. I can literally see my cat like freaking out right here, but it's fine. As a pad, it is very, very good. I've been really enjoying it, playing things like Call of Duty, Fortnite, the finals, all things that I would typically play. I've been enjoying it, again, at least preferably for what I prefer in terms of pads. I like a little bit more control. Those are typically what I would lean towards, but I still do have a lot of speed pads that I use. It's not a super fast pad, but it does have, I mean, like I mentioned, it is kind of like a hybrid pad in a sense, but again, more focused on the speed side. So at least in terms of the overall performance of the pad, it does feel really good. And I've really been enjoying using the pad. Definitely a recommend, especially with the graphic, because it is absolutely insane. Pretty sure, I mean, if I think of everything that was released last year, it definitely has to be in the top 3 best looking pads of the year. Ultimately, one of the things that I specifically wanted to go through is in terms of the review itself. So again, whenever I review pads or mice, I tend to focus on the things that I feel like are important to most people. And if it's too detailed, I don't know if that's something that people want, because I feel like most people really just want to be able to have a review that they can go through, watch, have maybe like 3 to 5 minutes really getting all the information they need, and then moving on to whatever they want to do next. So that's kind of been my goal, is to really try and keep it under 5 minutes for the most part whenever I'm providing information on anything. But I did just want to ask everyone if you agree, or if you want more. Do you want more information? Do you feel like the information that I'm providing is good? Is there anything that I'm missing? Like I mentioned, at least whenever it came to mice, there was a guy that said, hey, like battery life is the main thing that I look for, and the GPX beats that all day. Agreed. So, I mean, if there's anything, at least from a pad standpoint, or anything that you feel like I'm missing, or something you want me to add in, please let me know. At least whenever it comes to this review, I will say that there are people that have mentioned that they wanted a little bit more B-roll, a little bit more gaming clips within the review itself. I will have that for the WL mouse review Friday. Ultimately, I did have an entire review. I had a different version of this review that I had to redo because the last video just wasn't working. I didn't have any sound. So, I mean, unless you want silent reviews, I mean, that could be a new thing, but don't think anybody wants that. Anyways, again, just let me know if there's anything that you want me to do or work on. With that being said, we do have the giveaway in 2 days. Whenever I drop this, it'll be Thursday, so we have 1 day for that giveaway. So I will be doing that on Friday. Friday, I will have the WL mouse review as well. So I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.